The invitation never came. That was the first sign. Not a delay. Not a mistake. Just absence. Every year, the reunion followed the same pattern. A carefully selected guest list, a high-end venue, a curated experience designed to reflect exactly what the family wanted to be seen as: successful, refined, untouchable. And this year, I wasn't on the list. I didn't need anyone to tell me. Silence has a way of confirming things without explanation. Still, I waited, not for the invitation, but for the message that would explain why it wasn't coming. It arrived 2 days later.
Short, clean,
Structured in a way that made it sound reasonable instead of what it actually was. We're keeping this one more exclusive. I read it once, then again, not because I didn't understand, but because of how easily it was said. A few seconds later, another message followed. It's a certain level this year. You know how these things are.
Of course I did.
Level. That word had always meant the same thing in this family. Not who you were, but how you were perceived. Not what you built, but what it looked like from the outside. And, from their perspective, I didn't fit. Some people wouldn't understand your situation. The final message said, "It's better this way." Better for who? That part wasn't explained. It didn't need to be. I didn't reply immediately, because responses create conversations. And conversations give people room to justify what they've already decided. Instead, I let it sit, then typed one word. Understood.
Sent. No emotion.
No resistance. No attempt to correct anything, because this wasn't about being included. It was about being seen. And they had already decided I wasn't worth showing. The days leading up to the reunion moved quietly. No follow-up messages. No attempts to soften what had been said. Just distance. Intentional, structured distance that made everything feel final without ever needing to say it out loud. From the outside, everything was perfect. The venue announcements, the guest confirmations, the subtle hints shared across social circles that made the event feel exclusive before it even happened. A private ballroom in one of the most expensive locations in the city. Custom decor. Premium catering. Everything aligned with the image they had built over the years. I recognized the venue immediately, not because of the announcement, but because I had approved it months earlier, before the guest list, before the image, before the decision to remove me. The planning process had been simple, efficient, structured through a foundation, anonymous, professionally managed, designed to support events exactly like this without drawing attention to where the funding came from. A sponsor. Unlisted. Unseen. Unquestioned. They never asked who it was. They didn't need to, because from their perspective, things like that just happened. Money appeared. Arrangements finalized. Details handled. All without disrupting the image. And that's exactly how I wanted it. Control doesn't come from standing in the room. It comes from building the room. The morning of the reunion, the city felt the same as it always did. Busy. Predictable. Moving forward without noticing the shift that had already taken place beneath the surface. I got ready, without urgency.
No rush.
No pressure. Just precision. The kind that comes when everything is already in motion. I arrived at the venue early. Not through the main entrance. Through the side access reserved for management. No one stopped me. No one questioned me. Because authority doesn't need introduction. Inside, the ballroom was already set. Lighting calibrated. Tables arranged with exact spacing. Every detail aligned to create the illusion of effortless perfection. The event manager approached immediately. "Everything is prepared," he said. I nodded. "Good," I replied. Because it was. Exactly as planned. Outside, guests began to arrive. Expensive cars. Polished appearances. Conversations layered with the kind of confidence that only comes from being certain you belong somewhere. And for them, that certainty was real.
For now.
Inside, everything had already changed. By the time the ballroom filled, everything looked exactly the way they wanted it to. Soft lighting reflecting off polished surfaces. Tables aligned with precise spacing. Conversations layered with quiet confidence, the kind that comes from believing you belong in a space that reflects success. From the outside, it was perfect, exactly the image they had built. I remained just beyond the main floor, near the control corridor that overlooked the entire room. Not hidden, not excluded, just positioned. Because this wasn't about arriving. It was about timing. The evening moved forward smoothly, guests greeting each other, laughter controlled but present, every interaction reinforcing the same idea. This was a place reserved for a certain level, and they were all part of it. My family stood near the center, exactly where they always position themselves in moments like this. Visible, recognized, aligned with the image they had spent years constructing. They looked comfortable,
Certain.
untouchable, until the first disruption. It didn't come with noise. It came with hesitation. A quiet conversation between the event manager and one of the coordinators. A slight pause in movement. A shift in tone that didn't belong in a room designed to feel seamless. Then, it spread. Subtle at first. A delay in service. A moment where something expected didn't happen. Then another. And another. The kind of small inconsistencies that don't cause panic immediately, but create doubt. My father noticed first. He stepped toward the manager, his expression controlled, but sharper than before. "Is there a problem?" he asked. "Just a minor authorization issue," the manager replied. Authorization. The word didn't fit the moment. "What does that mean?" my father asked. "It means," the manager said carefully, "we need confirmation before continuing full service." Confusion.
Real this time.
Because nothing about the event had been framed as conditional. "From who?" my father asked. The manager hesitated, then looked toward the corridor.
Toward me.
That was enough. Because attention follows direction.
And now,
Direction had changed. "What is this?" my mother asked, her voice lower now, controlled in a way that was starting to slip. I stepped forward. Not quickly. Not dramatically. Just enough. The room didn't go silent immediately, but it started to, because presence changes things. "You said this event was exclusive," I said calmly. Their eyes locked onto me instantly. "What are you doing here?" my father asked, the question sharp, immediate. "I came to check on something I funded," I replied. A pause. Not understanding. Not yet. "This isn't the time," my mother added quickly. "You weren't invited." "I know," I said. Silence. Because now, the situation didn't align with their expectations. "You need to leave," my father said. I didn't move. Because movement wasn't the point. "Before I do," I said, "we should clarify something." The manager stepped closer, holding a tablet, the screen already displaying the necessary details. "Full authorization is tied to the primary sponsor," he said. The word landed differently this time.
Sponsor.
Because now,
It mattered.
"And?" my father asked. The manager turned the screen slightly.
Toward them.
Then toward me. "The event cannot proceed without their approval." Another pause. Longer. Because now, pieces were starting to connect. "That doesn't make sense," my mother said. "It does," I replied. Another silence. Heavy.
Real.
Because now, they were beginning to understand. "You," my father said. "Yes." One word.
Clear.
Final. "That's not possible," he added. "It is," I said. "How?" he asked. I didn't explain everything. I didn't need to. While you were deciding who belonged in this room, I said calmly, I was building it. The words settled into the space like something permanent, because now, there was no version of this that worked the way it used to. You're saying, my mother started but stopped. I'm saying, I replied, that every detail here, every table, every light, every service, exists because I approved it. Silence. Complete. Because now, control had shifted. You did this on purpose, my father said. I didn't confirm it. I didn't deny it. I just said, I prepared. The same way I always had. While they focused on image, I focused on structure. While they decided who looked right, I decided what was real. What do you want? My mother asked, her voice quieter now. The question came from a different place. Not authority, not certainty, just need. I looked around the room once, then back at them. I don't want anything, I said. And I meant it, because this was never about taking something from them. It was about showing them something. You already made your decision, I continued. I just respected it. Another silence. Because there was nothing left to argue, nothing left to explain, nothing left to control. They built an exclusive event, a perfect image, a carefully curated space where only certain people were allowed to belong. But what they didn't realize was simple. You can't decide who belongs in a room when you don't control who built it.